Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Returning to the Source of Life, Book 3, The Abundance of Life. Number 9, Jesus who became our light, number 2. We want to know that too. For how many days we have to take a rest, and for how many days we have to walk. We want to know in advance. That's why we took the fruit of good and evil. Even though God warned not to eat, but we couldn't stop eating. God did not tell them to take a rest for 1 month specifically. God did not tell them to take a rest for 1 week specifically either. Even though the column of clouds sat down in the morning, but if the column of clouds starts to move, they had to start moving at night. I don't have any sovereignty. I cannot decide according to my will. Thus, the people of Israel had to receive training for 40 years in the wilderness with a column of fire and column of cloud, all through a ministry. But if we cannot learn this lesson, everything will turn in vain. But if we learn the lesson, we can put down everything. Even we may try to figure out the certain date of the second coming of Jesus. It's no use. So many people try to figure out the date of the second coming of Jesus, risking their life. But it turned out in vain. As their prophecy ended up in failure, they don't need to do that again. That's natural. They should give it up. But as they don't have no other way, so they try again and again. It didn't happen just in Korea. It happened so many times all over the world. As there is no other solution, it is continued on. It'll never be disappeared anyway. What we really don't know, we have to admit it. But people pretend as if they know about it. It's not good. What we don't know, we should say, I don't know. In old days, it was very difficult to say, I don't know. They thought as if they had to give some answers to other people. Those who are weary and heavy laden, they have to put down their burden. Even though they keep carrying the burden, we cannot give any help to other people. Other people would never say to you, thank you for your hard work. Even though I may carry the burden, God will never say to me, thank you for your hard work. He would rather say, why do you carry a heavy burden? When did I give you the burden? I really don't know. Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. Many people will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. They were just wasting their energy. They have nothing to do with the Lord. I delivered a sermon for 8 years at one church, and at CCC, I delivered a sermon for 2 years. I delivered a sermon for 10 years altogether, but I don't know what I had said to our members. I don't know what I taught them. I was not qualified, but I taught people anyway. What could I teach them? Some people would ask, why there is no sermon in Taegu Church? Then what should I answer? This is all I know. So that's why I say like this. If I answer like this, some people would say, you are too cold-hearted. How can I say about what I cannot do? What can I teach? In Roman Catholic Church, they hosted International Council. Those priests who put on red caps on the head all gather together and deal with current world issues. What do the people of the world need? What should the church do for them? They try to decide. They try to manage the world. As the spiritual leaders gather together, they try to control the world. A couple of years ago, they showed documentary film on TV. They were making proclamation. They were watching all the worldly issues. They seemed to be larger than the House and Senate of America. Can they solve the worldly problems? Those people who have military power can solve the problem. Religious people cannot solve the problem. Religious people try to jump into the political world and try to solve the problem, but it is absolutely impossible. The world issues can be solved by the worldly people, not by the religious people. If the church will be involved in the worldly work, enormous tragedy will take place. During the medieval age, something really happened so much. As the church dealt with worldly work and they tried to control everything, they made the world so dark during the medieval age. Religion and the political world must be separated, absolutely. The path of religion and the path of political world are so different. Originally, two paths are so different. What can they do in other people's path? God called us out of the world. God did not make Pharaoh kneel down before him and try to construct the kingdom of God in Egypt. God told the people of Israel to come out of the Egypt. He said, go to the land where I instruct you. God did not try to transform the Ur of Chaldea. He called Abraham out of Ur of Chaldea. We cannot transform the world. More than 85% German people were Christian people, but they could not overcome one man, Hitler. They were rather swallowed up by Hitler and supported Nazis and involved in the World War I and World War II. Religion has nothing to do with the political world. If religious people are involved in the political world, the result is fearful. If pastors get hold of guns, enormously fearful things will take place. It is a blessing that we cannot get hold of guns. We must say as it is. If we don't know, we have to say we don't know. And about what we know, we have to say we know. This happens so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. God is always taking care of his work. One man asked during the World War II, 6 million Jewish people were massacred by Hitler and Nazis. Where did God go? What was God doing at that time? God, to whom the people of Israel always prayed and shouted out loud, the Lord. Some people interpreted the Bible as the people of Israel said to Pilate, let his blood be on us and on our children. So the massacre happened. If that's the truth, Jehovah God is so merciless. Then how should we answer? If people ask me, I would rather, I don't know. I have no other way. Why did God answer when Jesus was on the cross? God, why have you forsaken me? But there was no answer. It was not the time for God to answer. Suppose it was a good time for God to answer. Why didn't God answer? In fact, God could not give any answers. There is time for God cannot give any answers. How can people give answers? All the answers. If I say God could not give any answers, some people would say, what are you talking about? But can God give all the answers without any exceptions? When our children ask us questions, we cannot answer them all. Our children, when they were young, we cannot answer them all. I told my own son when he was little, God made man with a clay, breathed the breath of life into his nostril, and he became a human being. I told him just like the fairy tale. He asked me, Daddy,
Is it possible even today? I could not answer his question. About little children's question, grown-ups cannot answer them all. Even God cannot answer them all, even though God may have answers, but they could not arrive toward us in time. Even though God may answer, but we cannot understand them all. Suppose we have not seen. If other people may explain to us or teach us, it's no use. This happens so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. This phrase seems to be a good answer, and on the other hand, it may not be a good answer, but as a man, that is the only answer. Even though the fact after Jesus said that, Jesus opened up the born blind man's eyes. Having said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on man's eyes. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. And he was able to see from then on. If children ask us, how would you answer? God can do everything. Well, when they grow up and become high school students, their faith will be demolished. My father told me a lie. They would say, well, it'll be revealed as it is. We don't need to pretend as if we knew. The thing that is important is people really don't know. And as his eyes became bright and he was able to see something, in order to see something, there must be the light. There is something that we cannot see, and there is something that we can see. But if we meet Jesus, those things that we could not see can be seen. This is what the born blind man said. If we meet Jesus, those things that we could not see can be seen. If there's microscope, we can see the virus of corona. With regular microscope, we cannot see clear. But with special microscope, we can see clear. If you meet Jesus, we can see the different world. Jesus made the wine out of plain water. How can you know the process of plain water turning into wine? If we know Jesus to some extent, we'll be able to realize all we can say is just believe. Everything is like that. Jesus fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. We can presume there must be something behind, but we don't know why exactly. When Jesus opened up the blind man's eyes, they could see everything. Before, they could not see anything. We also can say, just like the born blind man, I don't know whether Jesus is a sinner or not. I don't know about such things. But the fact is, Jesus opened up my eyes. Now I can see. It's a fact. He witnessed so clearly, but we cannot explain in detail why and how someone's eyes were opened up and other people's eyes were not opened up. People would ask questions. Some people ask questions in a tenacious way. Is that right? But they would bring another question and another question on and on. Those questions are necessary for us to realize the fact that we don't know about so many things. There is one thing that is very clear. Jesus, who fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, he let dead Lazarus come back to life again and opened up many blind people's eyes. But he could not come down from the cross and died. He could not let dead Lazarus come back to life again. But why couldn't he save his own life? Well, we think we can do anything and everything. But there is something that he could not do. Well, we have so many things that we cannot do. So we have nothing to say, but on the standing point of disciple, Jesus has nothing he could not do. They have watched we think we can do anything and everything, but there is something that we could not do. Well, we have so many things that we cannot do, so we have nothing to say. But on the standing point of disciples, Jesus had nothing he could not do. They have watched Jesus was performing so many miracles, but at the end, there was one thing that Jesus could not do. Right here, their path was blocked completely. Their life became so dark, they did not know anything. Disciples followed Jesus as they thought he could do anything and everything. They imagined Jesus could destroy Roman Empire and make Pharaoh kneel down before him like Moses. They followed Jesus, and if the kingdom of Jesus is established, one of them can sit on the right-hand side, and another one can sit on the left-hand side. But at the cross, everything was ended up in failure. Jesus could not come down from the cross and died. People shouted out loud, "If you're Son of God, you jump down from the cross." But he could not jump down from the cross and died. Everything was blocked, as if the railroad track was cut off. Everything was blocked. They had to get off the train and they had to drive a car. Suppose we followed Jesus at that time. We felt the great world was blocking us suddenly, and we felt so stuffy. There is no greater despair than that. As they had a great expectation, their despair was even greater. Despair, there's no greater despair than that, as they had a great expectation. Those who followed Jesus had a strong faith, but they were all scattered, as they had a strong trust toward Jesus, but their despair was so great also. But then right there, God's work was appeared in order to save us. What had happened? We wished to become like them. We wished to become like Jesus and angels. We wanted to overcome the limitation of man. We did not want to become like the soil. But man is soil. This is the fundamental issue. When we look at angels, they don't die and they're full of power. But what about man? People cannot get the answer. Why is it so empty, not, and at the end? This is problem of man. That's why man took the fruit of good and evil that God had warned not to eat. However, the answer is right here. God's Son never lived his life doing whatever he wanted to do. He didn't know anything. He could not do anything, but God could use him. As we are God's image, even though we cannot do anything, but if there is the one who will use us, we can be used. Soil cannot do anything, but if the farmer comes, soil can be used. The glory of soil will be revealed. But if the soil becomes something special, God cannot use it. Stones can be called as stones, definitely. Rocks can be used in a specific usage, but we don't know where the soil can be used. Soil doesn't own anything. If the soil cannot meet farmers, soil is nothing. But if the soil meets the farmer, soil can transform in a magical way. It can be transformed into the golden field full of bumper crops and fruits. I think there is nothing more mysterious than the soil in the world. Soil is really, really mysterious. This is the gospel. Anything can be used, whether they may be large, small, high, or low. It doesn't matter. If you don't know anything, God can use them and God can use us. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you.